Okay, guys, we're going to do test corrections together. If you have not taken the test and you're sitting through test corrections, you do not get to take the test. If you decide to sit through test corrections and have not taken this test, you will write an essay. More than likely, it will be a DBQ. So if you have not taken this test, get up, get a book, go sit outside, work on your study guide, or work on the assignment that you missed from last time, because we also had that PowerPoint that helped us through 1 through 23. So if you haven't taken this test, please step outside. What we're going to do is test corrections. I'm going to go over some questions with you. Miss Morgan will have the answers. If y'all as a class concur that it is that answer, y'all will get the point. If you're not actively being involved, you just don't get the points. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the 8 most missed. So I'm going to go down all the way to 23. Yes, 23. The most notable result of the Sherman Antitrust Act. So Sherman Antitrust Act, meaning that we're against the monopolies at the end of the 18th century, 19th century. So at the end of the 1800s. So the Sherman Antitrust Act, our government is still laissez-faire. Did it really end the cooperation between business and government? By the 1900s, do we see that government and business are still together, or has it ended? Because of the Sherman Antitrust Act, the government is not helping out business. Did it have little impact on the regulations of large trusts? So thinking about this era, did the government still let business do what it wanted to? And it didn't enforce the Sherman Antitrust Act. Did it force more companies into mergers? That this Antitrust Act allowed businesses to keep on merging? Or did congressional leaders were censored from investing in railroad companies? So, Sherman Antitrust Act, it's against monopolies, right? It's at the end of the 1800s. Is it really being enforced or is it not? So as a class, come up with what y'all think. Ms. Morgan has the answer. Y'all could put me on pause and I'm going to move on to the next one. Okay, number 25. You shall not press down upon the brow of labor with this cross of thorns. You shall not crucify mankind upon a cross of gold. This is done by William Jennings Bryan. It's called the Cross of Gold speech. Had the effect of what? Did it centering the 1896 election on the issue of gold and silver? It mentions gold twice in this document, right? Did it split the Republican Party in the 1896 election? Did it encourage the Republican Party to fuse with the Populist Party? Or did the Democrats being elected to the presidency for the next 20 years? Okay, determine as a class what y'all think the answer is. Ms. Morgan has the answer. Put me on pause. Okay, 28. The Interstate Commerce Commission, so interstate, dealing with commerce, trade, was established to? Was it to distribute land to the railroad companies? Was it to help the Indians that were displaced because of westward expansion? Was it to ensure the railroads charge farmers fairer rates? Or was it to help ensure the safe travel of cattle from Texas to the east? Talk about it as a class. Ms. Morgan has the answer. Y'all get it right. Y'all get a point. Hey, 34, we're actually getting to some passages, so I have to read this one. This is the Dawes Act. It says, Section 6, that upon the completion of said allotments and patenting of the lands to said allottees, so, okay, they're giving land to some people, right? Each and every member of the respective band or tribes of Indians to whom the allotments have been made, so we're giving land to Indians, right? Shall have the benefit of and be subject to the laws, both civil and criminal, to this of the state or territory which they may reside. So these people are getting land, right? they're going to be subject to the laws, civil and criminal, of this territory. So they're going to get land, and now they're going to have to follow laws. Every Indian born within the territorial limits of the United States who has voluntarily taken up within said limits. So any Indian born in this area, within that area, his residence separate and apart from any Indian tribe, Indians therein. So if he lives away from the Indians and has adopted the habits of a civilized life, is hereby to be declared a citizen of the United States. So basically, the government is giving land to the Indians. They're going to be subject to the laws of the territory. If they have taken up land within the limits, they live away from other Indians, they're going to be citizens. Let's look at what 34. We missed this one. 34 says, the Dawes Act demonstrated the United States government was seeking to suppress Native Americans' dissent for policies of the United States government. Okay, do we see any suppression here? Or is it to resolve issues with the Native American, resolve the Native American issues without further military engagement? Have we seen prior to this that the government has had military engagement with the Native Americans and they're trying to resolve something without a military engagement with the Dawes Act? Is it to cut off future aid to Native Americans? Do I see anything about aid here? Or do I see it's returning their lost ancestral land to them? So talk about it as a class, come up with an answer. Miss Morgan has the right answer. Hey, y'all can put me on pause. The next one we're going to do is 37. We've seen this image, right? We see these very rich men here standing with their hands out saying, don't come in. We see their previous shadows in the back, right? That tells us that they were once immigrants. There's this guy coming off the boat, and they're not wanting him to come off. So let's look at 37. Which of the following groups would be most sympathetic to the immigrants in the political cartoon? So this immigrant guy right here, who's going to be sympathetic to them? Is it the women's movement? Are they going to say, oh, immigrants, we need to help you? Is it the temperance movement, people against alcohol? Is it the settlement house movement that bring in immigrants to help them? Or is it the social Darwinists, which we know that they believe survival in the fittest? So talk about it as a class. Ms. Morgan has the answer. All right, the next one we're going to look at is 40, but we have to read the passage. It says, The Challenge of Facts by William Graham Sumner. Competition, therefore, is the law of nature. Nature is entirely neutral. She submits to him who's most energetically and resolutely assails her. So, competition is natural, right? Nature gives to the one who's the best, right? Most energetic. She grants her rewards to the fittest. So she gives rewards to the best, right? Therefore, without regard to any consideration of any other kind. So she just gives rewards to whoever is the best. Such is the system of nature. If we do not like it, and if we try to amend it, there is one way in which we can do it. So if we don't like what's going on, there's only one way we can go around it. We take from the better and give to the worse. So taking from the best, giving to the worse. Let it be understood that we cannot go outside this alternative. Liberty, inequality, survival of the fittest, non-liberty, equality, survival of the unfittest. The former carries society forward. So survival of the fittest makes us move forward and favors its best members. The latter carries, so helping the unfit, it carries society downward and favors all its worst members. So looking at this, Sumner, what is he making an argument for? Is he making an argument for the fittest, that's what we need to do, or do we need to help the downtrodden? Okay, so determine with your people. I need to go to question 40. What is he supporting? Is he supporting labor reform, helping the laborers? Is he supporting socialism? Everybody should be equal. Is he supporting laissez-faire, or is he supporting political reform? Okay, Ms. Morgan has the answer. I'm going to go down to our next one. Okay, we missed 45, but I have to read 42. Okay, and 45 deals with Article 11. So this is the second treaty of Fort Laramie agreed between the United States government and various bands of the Sioux Nation. It says Article 2, the United States most solemnly agrees that no person shall ever be permitted to pass over, settle upon, or reside in the reservation for the use of said Indians. Okay? So no person can ever go into Indian land. Basically, that's what Article 2 says. Let's look at Article 6. If any individual belonging to said tribes of Indians or legally incorporated with them, being the head of a family, shall desire to commence farming. So if any Indian wants to start farming, he shall have the privilege to select. He should have the right to get a tract of land within said reservation, not exceeding 320 acres in extent. So any Indian who wants to farm, you can get some land. Let's look at Article 11. The tribes who are parties to this agreement hereby stipulate that they will relinquish. So the tribes who are agreeing to this, they're going to relinquish, means give up, all right to occupy permanently the territory outside of the reservation. So if you agree to this, you're giving up your lands outside of your reservation, but yet reserve the right to hunt on any lands north of the North Platte and on the Republican Fork of the Smoky Hill River, so long as buffalo may range thereon in such numbers as to justify the chase. Okay, so they're saying you're giving up land outside your territory, but yet you have the right to still hunt buffalo outside that territory. They will withdraw all, you have the right to hunt any buffalo as long as there is enough numbers. So as long as there's living buffalo, you can still do this. They will withdraw opposition to the construction of railroads now being built on the plains. So they're going to say you get this land, you get to hunt your buffalo, but you can't complain about the construction of the railroad. They will not attack any person at home or traveling, nor molest or disturb any wagon trains, coaches, mules, or cattle belonging to those people of the United States. So they're going to get some land, right? They could hunt outside that land as long as there's buffalo. They're going to withdraw opposition to the railroad, and they're not going to attack people. So let's look at question 45, because that's the one we missed. So it says that's what we were looking at is Article 11. It says, which of the following contributed to reducing the conflict in Article 11 and the similar provision of the treaties that were designed to address? So what is going to cause that Article 11 cannot be enforced? Is it the routing of several major railroads to avoid travel lanes? Or is the government going to reroute the railroads to get around the Indians? Is there a decrease in number of white settlers traveling near reservations? So is there less settlers going to Indian lands? Is there an implementation of government conservation policy that protected large areas of public land? So is the government going to start to protect the land? Or does the conflict reduce in Article 11 because of the destruction of nearly the entire buffalo population? So this is asking Article 11 right here that we read, saying that they're going to relinquish all rights. They could hunt outside their land as long as there's enough to justify the chase. They will withdraw opposition to the railroad, and they're not going to attack people. Which of the following contributed to the reducing conflict in Article 11? One of these things are going to happen that there's not going to be any more conflict. We have one more question to do. Right? Have we done 8? I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, we got one more to do to get the 8th point. And it's question 50. It deals with this image. So you see these guys up here, they have money on their tummy, right? So they're dressed like money bags. So that tells me they're probably industrialists. And actually it has all of their guys' names. Fields Money's, Gould's Money, Vanderbilt's Money. So that tells us these are millionaires. These are captains of industry. These are monopolists of this era. We see under them cloth workers' average wage a week, $9. Linen workers, $11. Iron workers, $7. Lumber workers, $6. And it goes on. And we have all of these workers on the bottom, right? And it says hard times, and it has them being very burdened. So let's look at question 50. Which of the following arguments did some late 19th century leaders use to justify the situation depicted in the image? So we look at the image, the rich are getting rich off the backs of the working class. So which argument is going to justify what we see there? Is it the federal government provided social welfare and services for the people living in poverty? At this time, did the government give social welfare service to the people living in poverty? Did immigrant workers contribute to the economic growth in the United States? Is that what it's justifying the situation? Is there evolutionary principles that determine people succeeded based on their merits? Or is there reliance on male laborers protected women from dangers of the factory work? Okay, so determine with your group, is the federal government giving aid to the people? Is its immigrant workers are contributing to the economic growth of the U.S.? Is there evolutionary principles determine that people succeed based on their merits, just their good deeds? Or is it reliance of the male laborers? So y'all determine as a class. Ms. Morgan has the answer. If you do not like your grade on the test, email me. I do have an essay prompt. I will give you the essay prompt and make sure you get a Tribe Time Pass to come in right with Ms. Morgan, and I will grade those later.